Hi! As you can see, I'm a lot better than my last video. As I said in my last video, I was having a hard day, such with it being such a small thing, creating this massive, huge, terrible outcome. It was ridiculous, and again it kind of rolled on to the next day, which it really shouldn't have. It kind of just got all a bit too much. So I thought I would talk a little bit about when I first got diagnosed with depression, and a wee bit about medication and coping and whatnot. Not that I'm any expert whatsoever on it. So I first got diagnosed with depression by the GP in 2012. I knew before then I was pretty low, and I kind of fell through the cracks for a while. My son was only 2 years old at the time, and I was pretty sure I had postnatal depression after having him. I was a single mum. I didn't really have any support, and my health visitor was terrible. I think I met her 3 times. You know, it's probably not her fault. She probably had a huge workload, but unless I ran crying to her, which I wasn't going to do because I wanted to be Miss Independent Mum. I never got the help that I should have from her, and so that was the first crack that I fell through. The second kind of crack, yes, I did get my diagnosis, but I had to fight for it, and that annoyed me. Like, it took so much building up for me to get to the GP and say, I think I'm depressed, for them to give me a form and tell me to go away and make another appointment. I was a bit bewildered by that, because I quite could have easily just not gone back and just carried on the way that I was going. And for a while I didn't. I filled out the form, and then it sat in my living room for a few weeks before I made that next appointment, and I got the same doctor that had kind of brushed me off the first time, and he didn't listen to me. He just wanted this form filled out, but he didn't really want to hear the reasons why I thought I was depressed, because this tick form told him, but the only information I got out of him was there's a fine line between depression and anxiety, and at that point I was only diagnosed with depression when I think I probably did have quite a lot of anxiety. You know, as I said, I was a single mum, I was quite young, I didn't have a lot of support. It wasn't as easy nowadays to find like support groups or play groups or events for young children, so I spent the majority of my time with a 2-year-old, and believe me, a conversation with a 2-year-old gets boring quite quick. So what led up to me deciding to go to the doctors at that point in 2012 was because I just got out of quite a nasty relationship, and I forgive the person now, but at the time it took me a lot to see that what they were doing was, I didn't deserve it, and that's not how you should treat a person. And I was left, after that relationship, I was left feeling like I wasn't myself anymore. So the person I was with at the time controlled the majority of my life. I had to cut out friends in my life. I wasn't allowed to be friends with other guys. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup, and if I did, I was ridiculed for it. I wasn't allowed to wear certain clothes because then I would look a certain way and they didn't like that, and they chipped away at me over the years and made me feel like a bad parent and that I was making the wrong decisions for my child, and they just chipped and chipped and chipped and chipped. And when you have pretty low self-esteem anyway, and you're a wee bit, because I was an anxious child, so I grew up to be an anxious adult and an anxious teen and things like that, so when you've already got that wee bit of angst about, you know, being a young mum, and then this person's chipping away at everything that you did feel good about yourself, and then you're left with going, but at the end of the relationship you're left going, but who am I? Where's my identity? So the only identity I was left with at that point after that relationship was I was a single mum, and I felt like a lot of being single mum, there's a stereotype, and I was quite young at the time as well, and I was so worried about being judged by people that again, that was the anxiety. That's why I didn't go to the doctors, because I was so worried that admitting I had depression, that would mean that social services would take away my child, like in an instant, because I was a single mum that admitted that she couldn't cope some days. And it's not that I couldn't cope with my son, it was just some days I woke up and I just felt rubbish. I just didn't feel happy. There was no reason not to feel happy, but I didn't. And honestly, at that point, my son got me through quite a lot of that stage. I used to just look at him and just be like, I need to do this for him, and I still even now think I need to do this for him, because I need him to realise, yes, you can have bad days, but you shouldn't let it rule your life. It shouldn't let you stop you from living your life. So having him really did push me to try and get better. So after I went to the GP and did my wee survey form thing, I got told that I had depression, and they put me on fluoxetine. I can't remember how strong we were. It was only 1 pill a day, so I went on fluoxetine for 30 days, and that was it. That was all the help I got. Come back in 30 days and we'll review it. No, well, in fact, no, that's a lie. The doctor said we'll get the health visitor to be in touch with you to give you some support, and that never happened. So I got sent away with my prescription for fluoxetine for 30 days. I started taking it. It would take a couple of weeks to get into your system, and oh my goodness, when it got into my system, I was a zombie. I was numb. Apart from the fact I didn't want to eat, my sleep, but insomnia just kicked in, and I had the shakes. And again, I was so worried about being judged because I was walking about like this all the time, shaking, and I could feel it to my elbows, so it wasn't just my hands, I could feel my whole arm shaking. So going out and things like that, I just didn't want to do, because I thought people would judge me and think, oh, well, what's she been doing that she's shaking? But also because I didn't feel hungry, my appetite had been suppressed, my body was probably needing food, and that was probably another reason why I was shaking. But I really struggled with fluoxetine. I lost half a stone, so I was down to 8 stone, and I just didn't look healthy. Like, I look at pictures now and I just think, wow, I look terrible. Like, why did nobody else tell me I looked that bad? Like, I understand, like, people are trying to build you up and things, especially after being in such a horrible relationship, but I looked ill. So I went back to the doctors after the 30 days and I was like, these side effects are, I can't be a mum with these side effects. And so I was put on another medication. I started with an M, I can't remember it, and again it was opposite. So instead of my hunger being suppressed, nothing would fill me up, so I constantly felt hungry, and I would eat and I would eat and I would get indigestion and things like that, but I was still hungry and nothing helped, and I felt bloated all the time, and it was horrible. And even though I was eating all that, I only got back up to 8.5 stone. You know, I only put on half a stone, and I was on those for about 30 days, but again, the insomnia was still there, and I can't remember the other side effect of that one. But I still wasn't, my body wasn't getting used to them, and I wasn't functioning well with them, and I'm pretty sure that was quite a low dosage on that as well. So then I again went back to the doctors, had the 30-day review. I was like, no, they're just not, this time they're making me gorge myself, and I wasn't feeling well because of that. So then I think I went on to one that's called paroxetine, and I remember after being on them for a few weeks looking at my son and knowing that my job was to keep him alive, but that was it. Like, I felt numb. Like, he would laugh and smile and would play, but I didn't feel anything. I felt like, knowing that I didn't feel joy or sadness or happiness when I was playing with my son, that hit home, and I don't want to be this numb zombie that, I'm bringing him up, but he's not getting anything back from me with this blank expression on my face. Like, I know I should be reacting to what he's doing. He's doing something hilarious, I should be laughing, but I'm just looking at him going, okay, that's nice. And that's not how you should act to your 2-year-old son. Like, that's a fantastic age. Like, people go on about terrible twos and things like that, but my son was amazing at that age. He was so funny and would do the funniest dances, and I just remember looking at him and going, I know I love you, and I know that my job is to be your mum, but there was nothing else. I went back to that feeling of feeling empty again. I was like, I don't want to go on like this. I'd rather be feeling emotions and feeling the sadness of being depressed than this complete numb zombie mum that the medication was giving me. So I decided just to stop taking the medication, because it felt like to me that the side effects were making me worse, but in a different way. And it was silly little things, like instead of going to the local shops, I decided to go to the shops the other direction that was a little bit further away. I tried to find like play groups for my son, though again they were very cliquey, and I didn't enjoy that because they all sat in a huddle and then there would just be me sitting by myself. They wouldn't speak to me. And then once my son started nursery, and just that routine of having to go to nursery every day and things like that really helped my mental health, and having that wee bit of freedom. To begin with, it was very hard to have that freedom It was only like 2.5 hours, but to have that freedom, I didn't know what to do with it because I'd always had my son. So that was quite hard to adjust to for a while. I used to have the depressive naps. I used to drop him off nursery, come home and have a nap. And I shouldn't have been. I should have been going out with friends. I should have gone shopping. I should have done this, that, and the other. And it never happened. So it did take a while to get to a better place. And from, I'd say, 2013 to 2016, I was on an even keel. I had my bad days like everybody else, but you know, I wasn't as low as I was in 2012. I wasn't as ill being on that medication, and things did get better. And then 2016 happened, but that's a story for another day. So again, if you have any questions or anything like that, or want to know other areas of my life, like my childhood had a huge impact on my depression later on, and I will touch on that eventually. But also, if there's anybody that wants to know how it affects relationships and family, and telling people as well, like trying to explain to children about depression, I'm more than happy to show you how I've dealt with that this year, because it was only at the start of this year that I got diagnosed again with depression and anxiety and things like that. So it's all still very new to me again, but this time I'm doing more, like explaining to my son about depression, and some of my friends I'm more open about, whereas I wasn't in 2012. And doing this as well, like I wouldn't thought of ever doing this. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, or if they want suggestions of what I should talk about next, then that'd be great. Okay, thanks, bye.